Today I want to talk to you guys about a real tragedy within the sustainable and urban farming movement. And this is also a tragedy of a greater picture, but I'm going to spin it into my context because I'm an urban farmer and I hear these kinds of things that I'm going to tell you about every single day. So let me have a bit of a preamble to help illustrate my point and what I want to tell you guys about. Every single day I see comments in the YouTube and I get emails where people are asking about proper licensing to run an urban farm. Are there any laws that are going to prevent them from farming or gardening in their front yard? And then they point to examples like some of the extreme cases we've seen in recent years about people getting fined or arrested and having the city come and tear out their garden. There's no doubt that these things exist and they are absolutely unjust laws. But it's not the laws that is the real tragedy here, you guys. The real tragedy is the fact that we give them validity by recognizing and accepting them. That's the real tragedy. What is a law? A law is simply something that's written on a piece of paper by some group of people, usually government, that says you as an individual cannot do X, Y, Z. Does that law actually prevent you from doing anything? For example, does a law that says you cannot smoke weed, does that prevent you from actually smoking weed? No, it doesn't. It just creates an illusion of control. That control doesn't actually exist. It doesn't actually stop you from doing something. So, does that law get rid of drugs? No, it doesn't. In fact, it actually forces it underground. And I'm not going to go on about prohibition. I'm totally opposed to it. But there's a strong case to be made that prohibition just creates an underground industry and props up certain groups of people who are willing to take the risk and suppresses others who would normally otherwise be law-abiding citizens. So the point here is that these laws that say you cannot garden, you cannot farm your yard without a license, these things don't actually exist in the physical, intrinsic world. They're just words that create fear in your mind to abide by them. So it's not the law that is stopping you from gardening your front yard. It's your perception of that law and letting that law create fear in your life that's the ultimate thing that stops you from doing it. So the minute that we stop giving these laws validity, the minute that they stop counting, it doesn't matter what some law says. If you know in your heart that doing something is right, then it needs to be done. You know, Rosa Parks didn't sit at the front of the bus because she was afraid of the repercussions of the law. She sat at the front of the bus because she knew what she was going to do was right. That law was unjust. So we need to stop giving validity to unjust laws. A lot of people, when they send me emails asking these kinds of questions, I just see this as a way that they're vocalizing an excuse for themselves. They're putting barriers to entry in front of themselves and then asking for my permission to do something about it. Well, here's my permission. Change it. If you don't like something, change it. It's that simple. If you want to change something in the world, go out and do it. Right now here in Kelowna, it's snowing everywhere and the sidewalks are covered in snow. So am I going to write a letter to the city to tell them to plow the snow? No, I'm going to get my snowblower out and go and do it. And that's in fact exactly what I'm going to do as soon as I get off camera. So we need to stop making excuses for ourselves and just get things done. Having said all that, I want you to proceed with caution. I'm not saying to you guys, go and break the law. I'm not saying put your family or yourself at risk. You know, you need to look into these things and make sure that the repercussions aren't going to put you in prison, because that, of course, is dangerous, and I don't want anybody to put themselves at risk. In my own personal experience, I will tell you, I'll go on the record right now and tell you that every single thing I've done on my urban farm, I have never once asked permission for it. And, in fact, some laws have changed as a result because I just did them. And we need to change the cultural understanding of what is right and what is wrong. we need to raise awareness about these issues. And we don't do that by just sitting at home and passively writing letters to politicians. We do this by taking responsibility for our own lives and getting things done. And that's what needs to happen. If we want a revolution within agriculture, that means you need to get involved. You need to start growing food. You need to stop asking permission to do it and just do it.